You wake up one morning, walk into your kitchen, open a cabinet, and just stop. Your mind goes completely blank. Why did you come in here? What were you looking for? That small, terrifying pause feels harmless in the moment, but it is not. That moment is the visible surface of damage that has been quietly building inside your brain for years, maybe decades, without a single warning sign. And the scariest part is that you felt nothing while it was happening. No pain, no signal, no alarm, just a slow, invisible erosion of the very connections that hold your memories, your identity, and your sharpness together. But here is what nobody ever tells you, and what most doctors do not even explain to their own patients. Every single night, your brain activates a powerful built-in repair system. While you sleep, your brain is not resting. It is working harder than almost any other moment of your day, flushing out toxic waste, rebuilding damaged connections, strengthening memories, and preparing itself for tomorrow. This system is real. It is documented in some of the most prestigious scientific journals in the world, and it is still working inside your brain right now, even if it is running at a fraction of the power it once had. The problem is not that the system exists. The problem is that after the age of 60, this repair system starts starving. Not because it stops working, but because it stops getting the raw materials it needs to do its job properly. Think of it like a highly skilled construction crew that shows up every single night, ready to work, but finds the supply warehouse completely empty. The tools are there, the workers are there, but there is nothing to build with. So the damage accumulates night after night, year after year, until one morning you are standing in your kitchen wondering why you walked in there. What you eat in the hours before you sleep is not just about nutrition. It literally determines whether your brain rebuilds itself overnight or continues to silently fall apart. And I am going to show you exactly how to fix that. I am Dr. Thomas Reed, and today I am walking you through 5 specific whole foods you can find in any grocery store that give your aging brain everything it needs to repair itself while you sleep. Before we get to the foods themselves, you need to understand what is actually happening inside your skull while you sleep, because this changes everything. Most people picture sleep as the brain simply powering down, like a computer going into standby mode. That image could not be more wrong. When you drift into deep sleep, your brain shifts from performance mode into something far more remarkable, maintenance mode. And one of the most extraordinary things that happens is the activation of what scientists call the glymphatic system. Discovered only about a decade ago, this is your brain's internal cleaning system. During deep sleep, the spaces between your brain cells physically expand by as much as 60%. Cerebrospinal fluid rushes through those expanded channels like a pressure washer, flushing out the toxic waste that built up during the day. And the most dangerous waste your brain produces is a sticky protein fragment called beta amyloid, the same protein found piled up in the brains of people with Alzheimer's disease. Everyone produces beta amyloid every day. The question is whether your brain can clear it out fast enough. After 60, that clearing process slows down dramatically, and the waste begins to pile up. Understanding this changes how you think about sleep, and more importantly, about what you eat before it. At the same time the glymphatic system is running its cleaning cycle, your brain is doing something equally critical. It is consolidating memories. Your hippocampus, the region responsible for forming and storing memories, replays everything you experience during the day over and over, strengthening the neural pathways that encode those experiences and transferring them from short-term to long-term storage. This process depends entirely on healthy, strong synapses, the tiny gaps between brain cells where chemical signals jump from one neuron to the next. Every memory you have, every skill you have mastered, every face you can recall exists as a specific pattern of these synaptic connections. During deep sleep, your brain strengthens the ones that matter and prunes the ones that do not. It is organizing your entire mental library. But here is the critical piece. Both of these nighttime processes, the waste removal and the memory consolidation, require specific raw materials that most people over 60 are simply not getting enough of. That is the gap we are going to close today, starting with the first food on the list. Wild salmon is food number 1. And before you dismiss this as the same old fish is good for your brain advice, stay with me. Because what makes wild salmon extraordinary for your sleeping brain is a mechanism almost nobody talks about. Every single one of your 100 billion brain cells is surrounded by a membrane. And that membrane is made primarily of a specific type of fat called DA. DA is not just one fat among many. It is the dominant structural fat in your cerebral cortex, making up somewhere between 15 and 20% of the total fat in your brain. The integrity of those membranes determines how cleanly electrical signals travel between neurons during memory consolidation. If your membranes are stiff, degraded, or built from the wrong kinds of fats, signal transmission becomes like a phone call on a bad connection. Information gets garbled, memories do not form correctly, and consolidation fails. After 60, the DA content of your brain naturally declines, and this decline directly correlates with measurable drops in cognitive performance. A single 6-ounce serving of wild sockeye salmon delivers roughly 1,500 milligrams of preformed DA, ready for your body to absorb and use immediately without any conversion needed. But DA is only part of why wild salmon leads this list. Salmon is also one of the only significant food sources of a compound called astaxanthin, the pigment responsible for that distinctive pink-red color. Astaxanthin has a property that makes it almost uniquely valuable for your brain. Most antioxidants cannot cross the blood-brain barrier, the tightly regulated gateway that controls which molecules can enter your brain from your bloodstream. Antioxidants like vitamin C, for instance, protect your heart and your muscles, but they never reach your brain tissue. Astaxanthin is one of the very rare exceptions. It crosses that barrier efficiently, embeds itself directly into brain cell membranes, and provides antioxidant protection exactly where it is needed most. During the night, when your brain is running high-energy repair operations, free radicals are generated as a byproduct. If those free radicals are not neutralized on the spot, they damage the very membranes your brain is trying to rebuild. Astaxanthin acts like an on-site bodyguard, standing guard at the membrane surface while repairs are being made. Research published in the British Journal of Nutrition confirmed that astaxanthin improved cognitive function in older adults while simultaneously reducing oxidative damage in the brain. Wild salmon also delivers highly bioavailable vitamin B12, and this matters enormously for people over 60. As you age, stomach acid production declines, which reduces your ability to absorb B12 from food. And B12 deficiency does not just cause fatigue or tingling in the hands, it causes brain shrinkage. Actual, measurable, documented brain atrophy. Studies using brain imaging have shown that people with low B12 have smaller brain volumes and faster rates of cognitive decline than people with adequate levels. B12 is essential for maintaining the myelin sheath, the insulating layer wrapped around nerve fibers that allows electrical signals to travel quickly and cleanly between neurons. When myelin degrades, thinking slows, memory retrieval becomes sluggish, and reaction times increase. Wild salmon, specifically wild-caught sockeye or king salmon rather than farmed varieties, gives your brain DA to rebuild membranes, astaxanthin to protect them, and B12 to maintain the wiring. 2 to 3 servings per week, with at least 1 in the evening, gives your brain these materials right as its repair shift is beginning. Food number 2 is tart cherries, and this one works differently from everything else on the list. If salmon is the construction crew that rebuilds your brain at night, tart cherries are the shift managers who make sure the crew actually shows up on time and works in a clean environment. Tart cherries, specifically the Montmorency variety, are one of the only meaningful natural food sources of melatonin on the planet. Not a supplement, not a synthetic version produced in a lab, actual food-derived melatonin. And melatonin is far more important to your brain than most people realize. Yes, it regulates sleep, but it is also a potent antioxidant with a special property called cascade antioxidant activity. Most antioxidants neutralize one free radical and go inactive. Melatonin, when it neutralizes a free radical, produces metabolites that are themselves antioxidants, triggering a chain reaction that neutralizes multiple free radicals from a single molecule. This makes it extraordinarily efficient at protecting your brain during the night. After 60, melatonin production drops dramatically. A 70-year-old often produces half the melatonin of a 25-year-old, and this decline has two devastating consequences. First, you spend less time in deep restorative sleep. Second, your brain loses that cascade antioxidant protection during the very hours it needs it most. Research from Louisiana State University found that drinking tart cherry juice twice daily increased sleep time by an average of 84 minutes in older adults with insomnia. Nearly an hour and a half of additional sleep, including significantly more time in the deep stages where brain cleaning and memory consolidation occur. But tart cherries do more than deliver melatonin. They contain powerful compounds called anthocyanins, the dark red pigments responsible for the cherry's deep color. Anthocyanins are among the most effective anti-neuroinflammatory compounds in any food. Chronic inflammation in the brain is driven by immune cells called microglia, and when these cells become chronically activated with age, they release inflammatory molecules that damage neurons and interfere with memory consolidation. Anthocyanins suppress this inflammatory cascade by targeting a protein complex called NF-κB, essentially one of the master switches for inflammatory gene expression. When that switch is dialed down, your brain has a calmer, cleaner environment in which to do its repair work. A study published in Food and Function found that older adults who consumed tart cherry juice daily for 12 weeks showed significant improvements in memory performance. Drink a small glass of tart cherry juice concentrate or eat a portion of dried tart cherries without added sugar about 1 to 2 hours before bed, and you are setting up your brain's overnight environment for maximum repair. Food number 3 is whole eggs with the yolk, and this might be where the most widespread nutritional misinformation has done real damage to people's brain health over the past several decades. The single most important nutrient in an egg for nighttime brain repair is choline, found almost entirely in the yolk. Choline is the primary building block of acetylcholine, one of the most critical neurotransmitters in your entire nervous system. Acetylcholine is directly responsible for memory formation, learning, attention, and the regulation of sleep architecture, particularly REM sleep, where emotional memories are processed and integrated. After 60, acetylcholine levels fall significantly, and this decline is so central to age-related cognitive impairment that the primary class of drugs used to treat Alzheimer's works by preventing the breakdown of whatever acetylcholine remains in the brain. Think about that. The most advanced pharmaceutical approach to Alzheimer's is essentially trying to hold on to what is left. Food-based choline from eggs is about ensuring your brain has enough to work with in the first place. A study published in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition found that fewer than 10% of Americans meet the adequate daily intake for choline. That means over 90% of people are chronically undersupplying the nutrient their brain needs most for overnight memory repair. Beyond choline, egg yolks contain lutein and zeaxanthin, compounds most people associate with eye health, but that researchers have increasingly linked to brain function. A study from the University of Illinois found that lutein accumulates in brain tissue and that higher concentrations of brain lutein are associated with better cognitive performance in older adults. Egg yolks also provide vitamin D, which is not just a bone nutrient. Vitamin D receptors are found throughout the brain with especially high concentrations in the hippocampus, the memory center. Research published in the journal Neurology found that older adults with severe vitamin D deficiency had more than double the risk of developing dementia. And on the cholesterol question that some of you are certainly thinking about, the science has moved decisively. The 2015 dietary guidelines removed previous restrictions on dietary cholesterol because the evidence simply did not support them. Your brain contains roughly 25% of all the cholesterol in your body, despite being only 2% of your body weight, because cholesterol is a critical structural component of brain cell membranes and synapses. Depriving your brain of cholesterol-rich food while it is trying to rebuild synapses overnight is working against the very process you want to support. 2 to 3 whole eggs daily, with at least some eaten at dinner, gives your sleeping brain choline, lutein, vitamin D, and the structural building blocks it needs to work through the night. Food number 4 is walnuts. And what makes them unique on this list is that they target your brain's repair process at the cellular level in a way that none of the other foods do. The key mechanism involves a compound called ellagic acid, which your gut bacteria convert into a substance called urolithin A. And urolithin A has become one of the most exciting topics in aging research over the past several years because of what it activates inside your cells, a process called mitophagy. Mitophagy is your cell's quality control system for mitochondria, the tiny power generators inside every cell. Your brain cells are among the most energy-hungry cells in your body, consuming roughly 20% of your total energy despite being only 2% of your body mass. As you age, mitochondria accumulate damage, become less efficient, and start generating more harmful byproducts than useful energy. Mitophagy is the process by which your cells identify these failing mitochondria, break them down, and recycle their components to build fresh, efficient ones. It is the ultimate cellular renewal system, and it operates primarily during sleep. After 60, mitophagy slows down, damaged mitochondria pile up, and your brain cells progressively lose the energy they need to run their overnight repair operations. Urolithin A from walnuts has been shown in published research to restore this mitophagy process, improving mitochondrial health in brain tissue and restoring the cellular energy that makes everything else on this list possible. Walnuts are also the richest tree nut source of plant-based omega-3 fatty acids, and they contain some of the highest total polyphenol concentrations of any commonly consumed nut, nearly twice the amount found in almonds or pistachios. A major study following over 19,000 women found that regular walnut consumption was associated with significantly better cognitive function in later life, with walnut eaters outperforming non-nut eaters on standardized cognitive tests. Another study found that walnut supplementation reduced beta amyloid accumulation in aging animal models, directly supporting the glymphatic cleaning process we discussed at the start. 1 ounce of walnuts per day, about 14 halves, is the amount that consistently shows cognitive benefits in the research. Eating them in the evening allows the ellagic acid to be metabolized by your gut bacteria overnight, producing urolithin A right during the cellular repair window. There is also an important compounding effect here. The gut bacteria responsible for converting ellagic acid into urolithin A are cultivated and strengthened by regular walnut consumption. The longer you maintain this habit, the more your microbiome is shaped to produce urolithin A efficiently, meaning the benefits of walnuts grow over time. The 5th and final food is dark leafy spinach, and it targets what might be the most overlooked dimension of brain health in every conversation about aging. That dimension is methylation, a fundamental biochemical process that operates quietly beneath everything else your brain does during sleep. Methylation involves the transfer of tiny molecular groups from one molecule to another, and this controls gene expression, neurotransmitter production and breakdown, DNA repair, myelin maintenance, and the regulation of inflammation. During sleep, methylation activity increases substantially. Your brain uses it to repair DNA damage accumulated during the day, to regulate genes involved in memory consolidation, and to recycle the neurotransmitters that keep nighttime brain processes running. And methylation depends critically on natural folate, the form found in dark leafy greens. Spinach is one of the most concentrated sources of natural folate on the planet. 1 cup of cooked spinach provides over 60% of the daily recommended intake, and this food-based folate is immediately usable by your body regardless of your genetic makeup. Up to 40% of the population carries genetic variants that make it difficult to process synthetic folic acid from supplements and fortified foods. Natural folate from spinach bypasses that problem entirely. Spinach also delivers a remarkable amount of dietary nitrates, which your body converts into nitric oxide, a molecule that dilates blood vessels and increases blood flow. A study from Wake Forest University found that a high nitrate diet significantly increased blood flow to the frontal lobes of the brain in older adults, the regions responsible for memory, decision-making, and executive function. Eating spinach at dinner means nitric oxide levels in your blood will be elevated throughout the early portion of your sleep, essentially widening the delivery highways that carry oxygen and nutrients to your brain while the repair crew is most active. Spinach is also exceptionally rich in magnesium, with 1 cup of cooked spinach providing roughly 157 milligrams. Magnesium regulates the receptors most directly involved in memory formation, promotes deep sleep by activating the parasympathetic nervous system, and helps regulate cortisol, the stress hormone that disrupts sleep architecture when elevated at night. Research from MIT found that elevated brain magnesium levels enhance the brain's ability to strengthen synaptic connections, the very thing your brain is trying to do during sleep every night. 2 cups of fresh spinach or 1 cup cooked at dinner delivers folate for methylation, nitrates for blood flow, magnesium for synaptic plasticity, vitamin K for myelin maintenance, and vitamin E to protect cell membranes from oxidative damage. Here is the bigger picture that ties all of this together. These 5 foods were not chosen randomly. Each one fills a specific gap in your brain's overnight repair system that none of the others address. Wild salmon builds and protects the membrane infrastructure that neural signaling depends on. Tart cherries optimize the sleep depth and inflammatory environment that makes repair possible in the first place. Whole eggs supply the neurotransmitter fuel and structural building blocks that memory consolidation runs on. Walnuts trigger cellular renewal at the mitochondrial level, restoring the energy supply that every other repair process depends on. Spinach provides the blood flow, the genetic switches, and the synaptic machinery that complete the system. Remove any one of these, and the system works less effectively. Provide all 5 consistently in the evening hours, and you have given your sleeping brain a complete and integrated toolkit to do what it was always designed to do: clean, repair, strengthen, and rebuild. Your brain is not a machine that simply wears out. It is a living, adaptive organ that responds to what you give it. And every single night, it is ready to fight for you. The question is whether you are ready to give it what it needs to win.